Well, I am very pleased to see the sword hero actually admit he made an error. He did something bad. Very happy, because this proves that not all of the heroes besides Naofumi is just straight up human garbage. Because, I mean, when we think about what's been happening these past few episodes, for the past 4 or 5 episodes, it's been mainly Naofumi cleaning up the mess of these heroes. The bow hero, the sword hero, the spear hero, mainly the spear hero, but the point still stands, is that all the heroes have been making a mess of things, and Naofumi has been kind of charged with fixing these problems that these heroes make. And one of the big reasons to why these heroes are causing so many problems is because it's like what I've said many times in the past. Number one, they are put on easy mode. Like, if we're looking at this as a game, they were put on easy mode. They were given weapons that allow them to just wipe out things power level very quickly, and they weren't really able to learn how the world works, and they also believe they're actually a part of a game. So because of that mentality, and they think that they're a part of a game or whatever, you know, they're not thinking about the sheer consequences of what happens to these towns when a fight breaks out, or, you know, the aftermath, the long-term, you know, I guess, problems that would happen in a country when you deal with monsters or a plague, etc., etc. And so, the big problem, or reason why these heroes keep making mistakes, is because, like I said, they view it like a game. And so Naofumi, he's been having to fix their problems because Naofumi has learned firsthand that this world is not a game. I mean, the first episode taught him that a lot. The second day he was here in this world, he was accused of doing something very malicious to a woman, and which caused his entire reputation to spiral right down into the dirt to really never resurface ever again. Now, he has made improvements. Like, he's tried to make steps to where people will believe in him and, you know, want to actually think that he's not that awful of a person. I mean, you have the soldiers in this episode. That's a very good example of people slowly realizing that the shield hero isn't a scumbag, and that there is more to him than what people have said throughout, you know, royalty, the nobles, and all of that. So I'll get into that in a moment. But anyways, back onto what I was mainly talking about, is that the sword hero admitted that he was wrong. And this pleases me because it shows that he is someone that can learn. He is someone that isn't irredeemable. He can be redeemed. He can finally realize what's going on here and try to make up for his mistakes. And the reason why he was able to understand his mistakes is because of a couple of reasons. Number one, he noticed that after, you know, what Naofumi said about how there was a plague disease that spread throughout the village, he's like, if you don't believe me, go see the village for yourself. He looked over at Raphtalia and he noticed that she had, like, curse marks all over her arm with bandages wrapping it up. So obviously he would be very aware of this. He's like, oh crap, you know, she got cursed because of my mess up, because of whatever happened with this dragon corpse. And in that moment, he put A and B together and was like, okay, so I did make a, you know, a big oopsie. I made an error, and, you know, I really can't make up for that. Not enough sorries can really make up for what I have done. Then, on top of that, it's because he has probably been in this world long enough now to know that it really isn't a game. Even if he has it on easy mode and he's been able to wipe out the competition like it's nothing, he's bound to have realized by now, with after constantly fighting and how he's been in this world for like 2 months now, that it's not a game. It's real world. And so he's starting to comprehend the situation here, that, you know, these are people's lives at stake. Even if they're transported to another world, you know, they still have to worry about people's lives. This is not like a virtual simulation. It is real world. And he realized that, and he is changing. The bow hero, he's a little bit more stubborn. He is someone you can clearly see that is stubborn. He probably has the capacity to change and realize the error of his ways, but it's clear as day at this moment, he's just so stubborn and doesn't want to admit that he's wrong, that, you know, he's just continuously putting up these errors like, I don't trust you, Naofumi. But in reality, it's very obvious he is aware of his mistakes. He just doesn't want to admit it because, aka, being stubborn. So yeah, really good segment. Probably one of my favorite segments of the episode, just seeing how the heroes are very different from the spear hero that we have seen, and they're not, you know, acting just like him, you know, falling under the control and being controlled by a princess that's able to completely destroy someone's reputation like that. Now, okay, let's talk about one of the big details that was revealed within this episode. And that is the fact that Naofumi needs to do a class up. And honestly, this makes a lot of sense. A lot of MMORPGs, RPGs, games, whatever, they usually have level up systems. Like, you reach a certain level, and you can get a class up, or you get more abilities that awaken, or whatever. And recently, I've been playing a game called Black Desert, so this is actually kind of very interesting that something like a class up would pop up now of all times, when I recently got into a game that pretty much has this exact same concept. But getting on topic though, class ups is a common theme you would see in like an MMO series or whatever, especially with RPG-like elements. It's where your class gets whole new functions and features that you didn't really know it had to begin with, like maybe new weapons or abilities. And so this class up for Naofumi could potentially open up the door for him getting offensive-like moves. Now we know he's been using like the Rage shield or whatever, and we know it's not really good for him to use that, but he might get other doors open to where he can actually use different abilities for offensive-like style, and also expand upon his support abilities as well. That's kind of what a class up is. And so the reason why he wanted Raphtalia to get the class up wasn't just because he was being selfless, which was part of the reason, but it was very important for Raphtalia to continue leveling up because she is someone that does all the damage, and she's the one that's constantly getting the XP for everyone. So if she's really high up there in level, grinding up her level, then she'll easily be able to wipe out any problems that Naofumi will, encounter when he finally does get his class up. So that's why he decided to go for Raphtalia first, because she's very important in terms of what role she plays in the party, and that's why Philo would be next as well. So yeah, that's the main reasoning behind that. But the class ups that was revealed though, we found out that this was something that Naofumi had no idea about, which is once again another element of the world that he had to learn about by himself. Like, nobody told him, which it's very obvious by now. All the other heroes and all the other adventurers or whatever, it's common knowledge. It's common knowledge in this society about class ups. I mean, the blacksmith knew all about it. You had the slave merchant knew all about it. It's very obvious that this detail, this, little information is very, apparent. Like, it's something that everybody normally does or is aware of. And so seeing the element of how he had to find out like this, and then when he goes there, the church wouldn't even offer it to him, is pretty messed up. Which, thankfully, we found out that there is other dragon hourglasses. That's cool. That's very cool to hear. So, there is other worlds other countries to explore for Naofumi to be able to get his class up. Because we gotta remember something. This country has turned against him. And in a lot of ways, it might be for the best, honestly. If the countries completely close their doors to him, won't allow him to level up and upgrade whatever, do whatever he wants in this country, maybe it is for the best that he goes to another country that actually would respect him for who he is. And so, I feel like it's a good thing, honestly. The church, in a way, actually helped out Naofumi. And maybe that's the objective of the Pope. Maybe the reason why he did this to begin with and completely denied it. I mean, yes, the Highness, the king, he was the one that did it, but maybe one of the reasons why the church was being just so aggressive about it, not allowing Naofumi to even do anything, was maybe because even if they don't have the shield a part of their church or whatever, which we found out in the last episode, they might be kind enough to say, you know what, the country doesn't want you here, pack up, go to another country, and then you'll be A-okay. Maybe that's what's being set up here, and so maybe he is getting slightly a helping hand in a roundabout way. Whatever the case may be, though, this is good news, because the faster he leaves this country, the better it is for him to be able to actually build something in this world, which leads into one of the main points of what this episode's about when it comes to the long term, the end game of the story, which I'll get into in just a second. But yeah, class ups and traveling to another country. That's going to be very interesting because we're going to get to see more demi-humans and stuff. It has been established that demi-humans do like the shield hero through Raphtalia, so we know for a fact that if he was to go to a demi-human country, he would probably be respected quite a bit. People would look up to him, think he's really cool, and he would finally be a hero in people's eyes. And will he actually change his attitude? Who really knows? So, let's get into the actual endgame. Now, what makes this very important, if he can actually build a life, is that he would have a reason to stick around in this world. That's a very important detail that popped up in this episode, and not many probably have been thinking about. And it was established in the first episode, so it is not something that kind of came out of nowhere. Naofumi mentions to Raphtalia, once everything is said and done, once these waves are done, I'm going back to my world. And at first glance, many would be like, whoa, why would you do that? Like, you have Raphtalia, you have Philo, why would you go back to your world? Well, even though he has those two and they help him out, they've allowed him to be where he's at, the reason why he wants to go back to his world is because this world, he just doesn't like it. It's not that he hates Raphtalia or Philo, he hates this world. Everything he's really witnessed from this world has been just absolutely awful. The people mistreated him, treated him like absolute garbage, and so it makes sense why he wouldn't really want to be in this world. He could go back to his world that has modern technology, allow him to have a comfortable life. I forget what he was actually doing, either had a job or he was a school student, whatever, but whatever the case may be, most likely his average life may have been a lot better than what it is now, and so that could be the case for it. I mean, some might be against Naofumi wanting to go back, but it makes sense from everything that was done to him in the first episode to this very moment, and I feel like if he goes to another country, his worldview might change considerably to where you'll be like, what, the world really isn't that bad. I mean, one country is bad, obviously, but these other countries, all the other countries are really nice and better. I could see that opening him up to where he doesn't really want to leave Raphtalia or Philo because the world isn't as bad as he actually thought it was. That's my assumption. Now, let's also talk about how the soldiers were treated in this episode. Now, that was a very important detail, which is kind of like a callback to the first episode of Shield Hero. If you remember in the first episode, we know what Mine did to him. What she did was just straight up messed up, stole from him, and basically he had nothing. He had nothing at all. He had no money, no equipment, no way to really level up, and eventually, you had these people, these thieves or bandits, walk up to him and trying to steal his money in the middle of an alleyway. That was established in the first episode. And they were basically saying, hey man, give us some money so we can get some equipment and all that. And he's like, no, I'm not doing that. You buy your own equipment. That's what, Naofumi said to them. And this is kind of a continuation of that for this episode, when he's like, get up some money, collect 150 silver pieces. He was not trying to get that money from them to basically say, give it to me for you to join my party. He was like, if you really want to join my party, you need to work for the money to be able to buy your own equipment. Buy something to where you won't die instantly in the upcoming fight. It's a very smart move because it proves how, far they'll go to want to work with Naofumi, because if they're individuals that quickly just want to use him and, extort him or whatever, then they wouldn't have tried to get that much money to work with him. So in that moment, he's like, okay, I don't want your money, just buy equipment with this money, and then let's, work together. So, great little callback to the first episode. I appreciate that, and it just shows, once again, Naofumi sticking to his principles and not just allowing anyone to join his group just willy-nilly. Even if he has helped the town, he still wants to make sure, because people can lie to him, and he doesn't trust people as much as he used to. Which, by the way, Melty is another topic of discussion. Melty wasn't really that important in this episode because obviously with the events of last episode at the end, Naofumi turned her away. He's like, get out of my sight, I don't trust you, and she left. And we don't really see any more of her for the remainder of the episode, but we do know that she's going to be important thanks to the Queen basically saying this is a trial for Melty to get better, to eventually become the future ruler, and I feel like there will come a time to where Naofumi might have to set aside his difference for the royalty or the nobles to be able to actually progress as a person, and I feel like Melty is the first step of that. Probably talking to her and accepting her that she isn't really that bad of a person, and realizing that, her actions speak louder than words. So, yeah, she wasn't really shown that much, but I do think that she's going to be very critical for the upcoming episodes. So what else is there really to talk about? Oh yes, the wave. The wave has begun for the kingdom. So, the question is, how hard is this wave going to be, and how much is going to be lost? Because, once again, I want to remind everybody that even if Naofumi doesn't get the major spotlight, he's not able to take on the main boss or whatever, at the very least, there is going to be considerable damage to the villages, towns, and the aftermath of that's going to just be so devastating that it's going to be probably months or maybe years before it's completely fixed. And so because of that, I wonder how devastating this wave is going to be, because obviously the waves are going to get stronger and stronger, and since Naofumi doesn't really have access to a class up, is he going to be at a complete disadvantage where he really can't compete? Will he be forced to use his rage shield just to be able to actually go up against the opponents that he might face in this wave? Who really knows? But I think I'm going to end it at that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.